You know what's crazy? Right now, as you're watching this, someone in your life is probably manipulating you, and you have no idea. That's the scary part about manipulation. The best manipulators make you think every decision was your own. They make you feel guilty for things you didn't do. They make you question your own memory. And worst of all, they make you believe they're helping you when they're really just helping themselves. Let me tell you something that nobody wants to admit. We live in a world where manipulation isn't just common, it's expected. Your friends do it, your family does it. That person you're talking to right now, they might be doing it too. And before you think you're too smart to fall for it, understand this. Manipulation doesn't work because people are stupid. It works because manipulators are skilled at finding the cracks in your armor, the insecurities you hide, the fears you don't talk about. So today we're going to break down the art of manipulation. Not so you can use it, but so you can see it coming from a mile away. Because once you understand how the game is played, nobody can play you again. Let's start with the most dangerous manipulation tactic out there, gaslighting. This is when someone makes you doubt your own reality. They'll deny things they clearly said or did. They'll twist your words until you're not even sure what you meant anymore. They'll make you feel like you're going crazy when you know something happened. Here's how it plays out in real life. You confront someone about something they said that hurt you. Instead of acknowledging it, they say, "I never said that," or "You're remembering it wrong," or "You're being too sensitive." Over time, you start doubting yourself. You think maybe you did misunderstand. Maybe you are too sensitive. That's exactly what they want. Then there's guilt tripping. This one's everywhere. Someone makes you feel responsible for their emotions, their problems, their entire life. They say things like, "After everything I've done for you," or "I guess I'm just a terrible person then," or "If you really cared about me, you would do this." They're not asking you to help them out of genuine need. They're weaponizing your empathy. They're turning your kindness into a tool they can use against you. And the worst part is, you'll do what they want just to make that guilty feeling go away. Love bombing is another classic move. At first, it seems amazing. Someone gives you constant attention, endless compliments, overwhelming affection. They make you feel like you're the most special person in the world. But here's the catch. It's not real. It's a strategy. They're flooding you with positive attention to build dependency. Once you're hooked, once you need that validation from them, they start pulling it away. Suddenly, you're chasing their approval. You're doing things you wouldn't normally do just to get back to that feeling they gave you at the start. That's manipulation. Projection is sneaky because it turns you into the villain. This is when someone accuses you of doing exactly what they're doing. They're lying, so they accuse you of being dishonest. They're being controlling, so they say you're trying to control them. They cheat, and then they constantly question your loyalty. It's a defense mechanism, but it's also a manipulation tactic. By making you defend yourself against false accusations, they take the spotlight off their own behavior. You end up so busy proving you're not the bad guy that you never address what they're actually doing wrong. Triangulation brings a third person into the mix. The manipulator creates competition or uses someone else to validate their point. They'll say things like, "Well, Sarah agrees with me," or "Everyone thinks you're overreacting," or they'll compare you to someone else to make you feel inferior. This tactic works because humans naturally care about social acceptance. When a manipulator suggests that multiple people think you're wrong, you start doubting yourself. But here's the thing. Either they're lying about what other people said, or they manipulated those people first. Silent treatment is emotional manipulation at its finest. Instead of communicating, they freeze you out. They ignore your messages, give you one-word answers, act like you don't exist. This isn't just immaturity, it's calculated. They're training you to fear their absence. They're showing you what life is like without their attention. So you start walking on eggshells, avoiding topics that might upset them, sacrificing your own needs just to keep them engaged. That's not a relationship. That's control. Moving the goalposts is frustrating because you can never win. You do exactly what they asked, and suddenly it's not good enough. They wanted you to get better grades, so you did. Now they want you to join more clubs. You joined the clubs. Now they want you to be more social. There's always something else, always another standard to meet. This keeps you in a constant state of trying to please them. which means they stay in power. Here's what most people don't realize about manipulation. It's not always obvious. The manipulator isn't some cartoon villain twirling their mustache. They're often charming, likable, even helpful sometimes. That's what makes it so dangerous. They mix genuine moments with manipulative tactics. They give you just enough good to make you question whether the bad is really that bad. But let's talk about why manipulation works so well. Manipulators are masters at identifying vulnerability. They look for people who are lonely, who have low self-esteem, who are eager to please. They look for people who second-guess themselves, who avoid conflict, who value harmony over honesty. If you're impressionable, if you make snap decisions, if you're driven by emotion rather than logic, you're an easier target. That's not your fault, but it is something you need to be aware of. The scariest part about manipulation is that it's gradual. Nobody falls for it overnight. It starts small. A little comment here, a small request there. Each thing by itself seems harmless. But over time, those small things add up. Before you know it, you're isolated from friends, doubting your own judgment, and prioritizing someone else's needs over your own well-being. And you won't even remember when it started. So how do you protect yourself? First, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't let someone convince you that your instincts are wrong. Second, set boundaries and stick to them. Manipulators test boundaries to see what they can get away with. When you hold firm, they usually move on to easier targets. Third, don't be afraid of conflict. Manipulators rely on your desire to keep the peace. When you're willing to have difficult conversations, their tactics lose power. Pay attention to patterns, not isolated incidents. Everyone has a bad day. Everyone makes mistakes. But if someone consistently makes you feel guilty, confused, or inadequate, that's a pattern. If you find yourself constantly explaining your decisions to someone, constantly apologizing for things that aren't your fault, constantly walking on eggshells, that's not normal. Learn to recognize the tactics. When someone says, "I never said that," ask yourself if they're genuinely misremembering or if they're gaslighting you. When someone gives you the silent treatment, don't chase them. Let them sit with their own emotions. When someone tries to guilt you, remember that you're not responsible for their feelings. You can be kind without being controlled. Here's something powerful. Manipulators hate when you ask direct questions. They thrive in ambiguity and emotional chaos. When you say, "Wait, what exactly are you asking me to do?" Or, "Can you clarify what you mean by that?" Or, "Why is my boundary unreasonable?" They struggle because their tactics work best in the shadows, in the unspoken implications, in the emotional manipulation. Direct communication is their kryptonite. Also, build a support system outside of the relationship. Manipulators often try to isolate you because other people can see what you're too close to see. When you have friends or family who know you well, they can reality check situations for you. They can say, "Hey, that's not normal," when you've been conditioned to think it is. The truth is, manipulation is everywhere. It's in advertising, politics, relationships, social media. Understanding how it works doesn't make you cynical. It makes you aware. It means you make decisions based on what you actually want, not what someone else has convinced you to want. It means you protect your mental and emotional space. It means you choose relationships where respect is mutual, not manufactured. You don't have to be perfect at spotting manipulation. Nobody is. But being aware, being willing to question, being okay with setting boundaries, that's enough. Because manipulators don't stick around when their tactics stop working. They need someone who will bend. When you refuse to break, they lose interest. So next time someone tries to make you feel guilty for having boundaries, question it. Next time someone denies something you clearly remember, trust yourself. Next time someone overwhelms you with affection only to pull it away, recognize the pattern. You're smarter than you think. You're stronger than they want you to believe. And once you see manipulation for what it is, it loses its power over you completely.